Hey guys, Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today we're back with part 2 of these witchy chromy soft gel extensions, starting with a quick conversation between Hannah and I about how we were going to do them. Yeah, with these ones I know that I'll paint the white and then I'll pigment. But this one's so fine, I'm like, do I do the pigment, then the black, and then carve it out? Or do I just do the pigment on top of super fine? And I'll have cleanup work. Do I think I want to do that? I'm not 100% sure. And with that out of the way, let's get them started. So we're starting with Swag, which is the blackest black from Artistic Color Gloss, just a normal cream black, no sheen, shimmer, whatever. And I'm going to do 2 coats of that on all of the nails other than the one that's getting the eyeball. You'll see the eyeball sort of appear throughout this video. I wasn't doing them all in the order I would normally do a full set of nail art because I was filming it. This is the second coat going on, so you can see that even from that first coat, Swag is a pretty full cover color, but if you had held these nails up to the light, it definitely wouldn't have been solid enough for my liking. Next, I'm coating all of the nails with correction gel. This is a thin viscosity builder in a bottle or thick viscosity gel polish, depending on how you look at it. You can build structure like builder in a bottle if you want to. You can absolutely backfill it and use it just like a BAB product, but also it's thin enough that you can use it as a coat to either protect nails, even out pigment or glitter, things like that. In my case, I'm using it in place of a matte top coat. So Artistic does have a matte top coat. It's really nice, but I want to buff these back to matte. You'll see me start to do it as soon as I've cleaned them, and then be able to paint on top, and you'll see why in a second. I don't know why I don't want to do this with matte top coat. I just have always done it this way. The matte top coat is relatively new at the time of filming this. We're kind of new-ish. I just like doing it this way. I like knowing that it's completely protected. I don't know. Sometimes we just do things because we do them. Okay, guys? So that's what I'm doing. I buffed off the shine. I cleansed off the dust. And now I'm going in with our first design, which is our moon. So I'm using Color Gloss in Bride, which you saw me use in the first video. Yes, it's still on my desk. Clients are always like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? My desk is melamine. I had it custom made a million years ago. And the melamine we soaked in acetone for a couple of days to make sure it would be okay to handle it, like to handle any products that were going to be spilt on it. It's just a normal kitchen cabinetry product and it cleans up totally fine. So I just don't get a palette out. It's just a habit that I've got into. Once again, I'm sitting in my stepdaughter's bedroom because it's nice and isolated for sound, and it's not the same day, it's the next day, and it's beautiful and sunny, but holy smokes is it freezing in here. So I should have come in here more prepared. It's really early in the morning and it's blimmin' cold. So you can see me at the moment just trying to taper out the point of the moon. The other thing that I'll be trying to do is get the color even so that I don't have to do 2 coats. You will have seen me do that with the last video as well, just tutuing a little bit like hair. Just trying to put enough product in that it can self-settle and leave no shadowing in the coats of Bride. I'm just going to go in and add some of the little stars that you saw in last week's video with the eyes as well. So this is nice. It brings it all together and carries the design over. But don't forget that I am doing this inspired by another creator. Honestly, I don't know how to pronounce their username, but holy smokes, their work is really, really cool. So go and check them out for sure. Now we're back with my bent stylus tool. I don't know how it happened. It just appeared that way. One day, I picked it up out of my caddy and it was bent. I can't explain it. If you buy one, though, the Artistic Stylus tool, it's not bent. This one still works the same. That's okay. And I like adding in all these little dots. So I'm getting my pigments ready now. I'm working with Creative Pigments. They're from the Brights collection. This one is Ocean, the purple is Flip Flops, and the pink is Bikini. The Brights collection is one of my favorite Be Creative Pigment collections to work with. And what I'm doing here is I'm just using the unfortunately discontinued purple brush to disperse the pigments across the bride. This is why we did the correction gel and buffed it matte, or why you would have done a matte top coat first, because the pigment is only sticking to the bride that I have painted on top of the matte. It's not going to stick to the matte parts of the nail. I am going to go in. You can see me putting monomer on my desk just in the corner of the frame just there. I'm dipping my purple brush into the monomer, dabbing it off on a nail wipe, and then coming in to just clean up a little bit in areas where that's easy. So the pigment isn't sticking, but I mean, like, there's some remnants. I'm just doing a little cleanup. I'm top coating with glossing gel. You could do another coat of correction gel first if you really, really wanted to make it super even, but this work is pretty flat. So sometimes I'll do correction gel and then glossing gel. Sometimes I'll do what I'm doing here, which is 2 coats of glossing gel. And the second coat is super thin and quick just to make sure the surface is even. Glossing gel has an inhibition layer, so you saw me clean it off with isopropyl alcohol, and I'm finishing the nail with Darty oil. At the time of doing Hannah's nails, I wasn't too sure how I was going to put the set together into these videos, so I was doing one full nail at a time in case I needed to separate them. So there's the finished moon. Now we're going in with a more... I actually don't know if this is a specific symbol or if this is just awesome, beautiful witchiness, but we're going in for another nail either way. I'm trying to paint a perfect circle, and the best advice that I can give you for doing a circle is to stop when your hand gets tight. Everybody has a natural movement with their hand. You can feel when you're drawing around a circle when it gets to the point that you know you're going to mess it up. When you get to that point, I think it feels like it's kind of tight. Stop and change direction. So you'll see me having done that a few times here, having gone one way and then being like, oh, okay, stop, find a new starting point and go back again. And then I'm just trying to get it even. I flash cued it here. You can see 5 seconds on the timer because I was concerned that it would run when I went to add more. Because I'm going to add in what I'm thinking of as horns. They're not horns, but the part at the top. If I were to do so without flash curing, I'm encouraging the circle to follow the line of the horns. It just makes it not as clean and crisp. At the moment, I'm putting in the star in the center though, trying to make it nice and thin. This line for me is a little bit thicker than what I want, so I went straight in with my gloved hands and got rid of it. I could have used cleanser on a wipe. It wouldn't have, oh, actually, no, I couldn't have, because if I had used cleanser on a wipe, I would have taken the inhibition layer away from the circle, and that's what we're relying on for the pigment to stick later. So doing what I did was the best option in this case. Now I'm coming back in with thinner lines to get that start in where it needs to be. One of the things with painting with gel polish on a tiny striper brush is that you either have a ball of gel polish at the tip of the brush being a pain in the butt so that you can't do a fine line, or that ball of gel travels up the bristles slightly and you're left with bugger all on the brush. So you kind of are always finding a balance between those two scenarios, which is why you see me going and re-dipping my brush regularly. What I'm doing is putting my brush into the bride and then stroking out. So I'm not just dipping into the blob of gel. I'm stroking out to get gel on the brush, but also not have any excess, and then coming up to do a line. It means I don't have much on my brush at all, which is why I'm going back and forth so regularly. Now we go into the top half I was referring to before. And one of the tips I can give you for this is that when I dip my brush, I know that I'm going to have a thicker part of this line and a thinner part at the top. So if I dip my brush, I then start in the thicker part, and when I have lots of gel on my brush, and then taper it up to the thin part. On the right-hand side, I took that gel-laden brush, started in the thick part, and took it up. On the second half, I didn't have as much gel on my brush, so I started in the thin area and brought it down and then added to it. So I'm working with what's on my brush and using that to my advantage to control my line thickness. Doing the same thing down here. If you are aiming for a thicker line, then you're not swiping the brush out to move that little ball of gel. I just dip into the gel and use that ball to get my thickness. If I am doing something fine, that's when I'm stroking out to make sure that it's nice and thin. That's going into cure for 30 seconds. I paint the other hand while that's happening, and now we get to do the fun part with Bikini, the pink one, Ocean, the blue one, and Flip Flops, the purple one. All from the Be Creative Brights collection, which we sell. So we're going in and doing all of the mottling. I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't follow any pattern. I'm also not cleaning my brush in between. They're all going to model together anyway, and they're not going to take over each other. They're not so pigmented that they're going to do that. I use my same brush to brush away all of the excess, and you can be pretty rough with this. You can't see the monomer on my desk, but I promise it's there, and that's what I just dipped into with my purple brush to come back in and clean this up. This is a lot finer, so even though with the moon I wasn't super pedantic about cleaning every little piece up, there's only so much I can do in this area of the design with monomer. So I'm doing my best, little nudges in the center there, but you'll see in a second that I did it slightly differently on the other hand. Once again, I'm just going in and top coating with glossing gel to protect and give the whole nail a sheen, put the shine back on the matte areas and protect all of my nail art. Now we're back on the other hand, which I haven't shown you much of, but I have swag on my striper, and with this star, I wasn't happy with how thick the lines were. I didn't think it was perfect, and that's why I got swag out so that I could go back, work backwards, and block out some extra black and make those lines thinner, which is something I do all the time. But it also meant that it was way cleaner. So in hindsight, I would have loved to have done this on all of the nails. Hindsight's 2020. That's what I'd do next time, and it's what I'd recommend that you do. So we'll go back to this main hand that we've been working on, and for the last pigmented nail, this pinky, this one was really fun because in the original design, it's a lot less regimented than the first ones. It's way more sketchy, like as if it's been sketched. I didn't feel like I had to do everything perfectly. It was a little bit more whimsical. So this was quite fun to do, especially after doing 3 nails where I was really concentrating on making sure it was super precise. This was fun to do with just sketching and not worrying so much about how much gel was on my brush or all of the things that make precise work really precise and the things that make it challenging and I think fun. But it was nice to have a little bit of a brain break on this nail and do something a little bit less precise. With this star in the middle of the cauldron, I'm just drawing a star. Like, I'm not trying to do anything because I know that I can't get it super precise. Oh, I mean, I could. There's ways I could, but not for this particular nail. That's me flash curing again before I bring in and do these smoke wisps. Because they're over the top of other gel, if I hadn't flash cured that other gel, they would have all self-settled together. Same with putting a little bit of a circle around the star. It would have turned into one big self-settled mess. And so we head back in with our pigments one last time. Because the purple brush is discontinued, you could definitely use the artistic number 9 oval. That would work the same way. It's not quite as soft as the purple brush, but there are lots of brush options that you could use for this. Once again, finishing off with my glossing gel. I don't show it, but I did do 2 coats just to make sure it was even and super protected. I really like this one. This is pretty. And you can see that being slightly more wispy didn't negatively impact this nail, I don't think. I think it's still really pretty and it does what it's supposed to do. Before you leave, though, we have another nail to do. We haven't done the thumb yet, and so the thumb wasn't shown in the original photos, so we decided to have a play with some other Be Creative pigments. We're using Gasp, XOXO, and Guess What? That's the name of the pigment, is Guess What? And these are back to the glitters. So XOXO is the glitter pigment that we used for the sheen in the background of the eyeball nail, but we chromed it that time. And this time we're just dabbing all of them everywhere, making a really pretty nail that fits the same color theme but gets some extra glitter into the set, because why not? So you'll see they have a different effect at the end compared to that chromed nail that we already did. You will have also noticed that all of my pigment lids are very well loved. They last ages, so they tend to wear down. And yeah, I could grab a perfect new pot to show you, but also I could show you that I just use them every single day, and that's why they look like they look. I'm just using glossing gel again over the top to seal this in. The glitters are super, super fine, so there's not much chance of it being a rough surface, but I still always do 2 coats just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And overall, this was a good, easy option for adding in to finish the set while staying on theme without going too crazy. I don't have a great imagination. It's why I recreate other people's amazing work. I'll be back next week with another video of, obviously not on henna, a whole new set of nails. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss that. And I'd really, really appreciate if you just popped a comment down below, because I really like to know what you liked and what you didn't like so that I can do better next time and give you more of what you love. Enroll in our courses at monaco.ac.nz, and I'll see you next week.